नित्यानन्देश्वर समारम्भाम् नित्यानन्देश्वरि मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. I welcome all the devotees, disciples, samajis, satsangis, Sri Mahants, Mahants, Tanedars, Kotaris, volunteers, visitors, viewers, everyone with my love and respects. Is sitting with us into a video conferencing, having Nayana Diksha, Hyderabad, Nithyananda Nagara, Guadalupe Rameshwaram, Melbourne Tiruvarur, Seattle Chidambaram, San Jose Madurai, Enriching Temple Bididi, Singapore Singapuram, Nithyananda Nagara Tiruvannamalai, Toronto Dirukailayam, Hyderabad Guptakashi, Scottsdale Arizona, Ohio, Prayag, Los Angeles, Arunachalam, Houston, Kalahasti, Columbus, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Singapuram, Sadhanananda and Samamish, Washington, Muktan, Muktika, Kuala Lumpur, Parani, Oman, Sivagangai, London, Kashi, San Antonio, Texas, Enriching Temple Bididi, Jorpati, Nepal, Mumbai, Chembur, and some more cities are joining. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. Upanishads. Before explaining a book, we have to explain what it stands for. Before explaining what it stands for, I have to explain who made it stand for that. Before explaining who made it stand for that, I have to explain who wrote it. That is where now the whole thing starts. How can we tell the modern world that something exists? There is a book which has no author. Profound, extraordinary expressions, truths, realizations, revelations, but no author. Author is dissolved in the authenticity of the truth. Please understand, whenever a book is written, the truth and the personality who presents the truth, both of them are expressed in that book. That is why I always tell people, all books are biographies of the author. Please understand. Whether it is a science or a history or a religion or philosophy, self-development, whatever classification you give, all books you have to basically classify as biography, because there's no book which does not have the smell, presence, touch of the author. Please understand. In the libraries, we should classify first all books as biography. Under the section biography, you can classify as biography based on religion, science based on religion, mysticism based on religion, self-help based on religion. More the personal involvement, more it becomes fiction. Understand? In a science book, the more the scientist is present, less the science is present. In a philosophy book, more the philosopher is present, less the philosophy is present. In a history book, the more the historian is present, less the fact and the history, less the authenticity or the truth of the history is present. When the historians have personal interests, likes, dislikes, history can never be presented to you authentically. In any book, more the author is present, less the truth is presented. More his personal touch, less the reality. That is why I always insist on all pharmaceutical companies should be non-profit organizations. Having medical care under the profit industry is the most dangerous. Please understand. Share trading, forex trading, currency trading, all these are stupidity, no problem. Keep it under the for-profit people. The for-profit mentality is the madness. The world is suffering. Let the mad people work with the delusions. Currency is a delusion. Share is a delusion. So let the mad people live with delusions. But health is a reality. Let it not go under the hands of mad people. Understand, greed is the legal madness. Legally accepted madness. Greed is the legally accepted madness. Currency, share trading, all these are the delusions of the human mind which was developed by the collective greed. The mad people who are deluded by the collective greed, let them play with delusions, collective delusions, no problem. No problem. But food, clothes, shelter, medical care, the basic needs of human beings should be kept out of for-profit industry, the for-profit madness, for-profit world, the greed. I'm studying some of the principles of allopathy medicines, and I wanted to boldly tell you guys, I'm falling in love with allopathy system. System itself is not wrong. There is so much of reinvention of the Ayurvedic principles in allopathy. Some of the vital components they missed, that is different. Some of the vital components allopathy is missed or yet to catch up, that is different. But the system itself is not cunning or created for exploitation. No. The system itself is not created for exploitation out of any cunningness. So many important components of life is got caught under the legally accepted madness of greed. Actually, we do not need any more wealth to align the world. We just need more intention to align the world. And we will have new humanity immediately. Just these few things. Let the basic need things of the human life, food, clothes, shelter, medical care, let them be free from the poisons of human mind, greed and fear. Let them be kept away. Let nobody's fear and greed exploit these four. One great thing I found in the Western countries, especially in America, United States of America, the great thing is the majority of the hospitals are non-profit organizations. I'm so happy about it. I'm so happy about it. But pharmaceutical industry is not non-profit. In India, the other way. Majority of the hospitals are for-profit entities. But much of the medicines are available very less price. The basic things of life should be kept out of the human mind's madness. In India, the Vedic tradition, the Upanishadic period, pharmaceutical industry and the hospitals, both were non-profit. Completely non-profit. Both were under the non-profit sector. Anywhere the person, human mind intervenes, the truth is either diluted or killed. Knowledge was always a non-profit in India. The Vedic tradition, knowledge was always non-profit. And there was insistence of knowledge being non-profit and Guru begging and feeding the disciples. Knowledge in the non-profit sector kept the purity of knowledge, because see, the fear is neither socially nor legally accepted madness of humanity. But unfortunately, greed has become legalized madness of humanity. Please understand, through this series of Upanishadic talks on the Upanishads, I'm not just going to talk on the Upanishad, I'm going to bring back the vision of the Vedic civilization. Weapons, army should be for-profit industry highly taxed, heavily taxed. Entertainment should be for-profit industry, heavily loaded with the tax. But food, clothes, shelter, medicine, the basic things should be non-profit. That is the only way we can keep the human beings safe on the planet Earth. Food should not become for-profit industry. The spirit of Annadana, sharing food, should be kept alive in large scale. I bow down to Sikhs. The Sikhs in India. Sikhism as a religion kept and keeping India's spirit of sharing food. I tell you, just that one spirit is responsible. Still, why we have not fallen prey to a single for-profit entity in the field of food. Many developed countries, the whole country is dependent on few of the for-profit companies for their whole food and food supply. Hats off to Sikhs and Jains and the Lingayats of Karnataka. By doing Anna Dasoga, Lingayats in Karnataka kept that tradition of food is free. I wanted to tell all my disciples, make this truth, food is free, to revive the Vedic tradition. Food industry should not go under any non-profit, any for-profit or not even non-profit. It should be freely available. Throughout this Upanishadic series, I'll spell out the clear vision of Vedic civilization. From the Akashic records, I'll read out the truths, how the Vedic civilization existed. As I said, I am not going to interpret, I am just going to intercept and present it to all of you. Upanishadic periods, we were very clear what should be non-profit, what should be for-profit, what should be heavily taxed, what should be freely available. Food should be freely available. It should not come under for-profit industry. Because all the best things should not be influenced by the greed and fear of human beings. And history should be kept out of the minds of vested interests. Any psychological fear or greed makes the history written by that person as for-profit industry. Please understand, there are many historians who belong to for-profit industry. There are few who belong to non-profit industry. The for-profit historians, non-profit historians, this should be segregated, separated first. People who have specific fear and greed, vested interest on some ideas, ideologies, persons are called for-profit historians. Unfortunately, society does not recognize the psychological fears and greeds and vested interests. See, physically, when somebody is greedy and makes billions of dollars, you recognize it. Certain kind of a anger gets built towards them. The have-nots always have deep anger towards these haves. That is why all the mass media, the so-called mainstream media, is always against the haves, because the consumer of the mass media is have-nots. They are catering to their consumers, clients, with the understanding that kind of a hatred have-nots build towards haves, those who have. Please understand, the have-nots have started developing a kind of a anger towards those who have, but unfortunately, these psychological greedy guys who have vested interests, fear or greed towards some ideology or a person, their sickness and the damage they cause to the consciousness of the humanity is not at all recognized by the society. Please understand, society, if any society want to live in peace, create a heaven, the Satyaloka of the Upanishadic periods, that society should understand the way you perceive you, the way you are taught about you is from history, and the people who write your history should be out of psychological fear and greeds and vested interests. If you are reading the history written by the people with vested interests, and based on those informations, the way it is presented to you, if you create an idea about you, I tell you, you are dead. You will be suffering with the same problems the historian was suffering. The same fears and greed he has will be transmitted to you. How careful when you eat your food, because it is going to become part of your life. That careful you should be when you eat the ideas, means reading books, receiving informations. Your education should be completely out of non-profit, for-profit, completely free. Knowledge is free. That is why the Upanishads are now available to you freely. I am not just going to comment on the Upanishads alone. I am going to speak, expand, reveal the truths of the subtle nuances, the base of the Vedic civilization. The basic principles of Upanishadic civilization. Understand the pharmaceutical industry. If you allow the greed and fear of the individual, whole world will be sick, consuming pills every day. That is what I am seeing has happened to the humanity. See, every day the kind of a pills people are forced to eat. In India, medicine was not that important component at all as part of life. Food itself was a medicine. But unfortunately now, even a lower middle class man or the lower class man in the social strata economically, even the lower class man, just like a dessert, eats a cup of tablets. I tell you, in any field you allow the fear and greed of the individuals to make the decision, you are doomed in that field. Gone. Capitalism is okay to play with the delusions. See, currency itself is a delusion. Gold as a value is a delusion. Diamond as a value is a delusion. Currency as a value is a delusion. Let the mad people live with the delusion. Don't let them play with the reality, which is our food, our medicine. You want to make money? You want to feel rich? No problem. Work with gold. Work with diamond. Work with share trading. Work with share market. Work with currency. Keep them all in huge buildings under lock and key. And feel that you are the owner of that and feel proud about it. We are happy. You be with them, they be with you. Somebody we need to take care. Let the human madness of fear and greed not affect the everyday life of the large part of humanity. And same way, in history, if the individual's fear and greed is allowed to work, please understand that exact fear and greed will be transmitted constantly, generations after generations. The one and only way to purify humanity and revive the Upanishadic civilization is the history should be written by the people who have the pure vision. Please understand, the vision influenced by fear and greed is one. Pure vision is totally different. Vision influenced by people with fear and greed distorts even while they are seeing what they are seeing. Understand, even while they are seeing what they are seeing is distorted by them. Their own fear and greed. And if they pen it down and you start imbibing that in your life, I don't know who can save you. I don't think anyone can save you. You will be imbibing the same fear, greed patterns in your life. Fear and greed in food and medicine. Makes your body impure. Fear and greed in the history and concepts you get makes your psychology impure. Fear and greed in religious and spiritual ideas makes your consciousness bound. Religion and spirituality should be completely kept out of any physical, material, psychological vested interests. Because if any material, psychological vested interests involve themselves into the religious concepts and spiritual principles, I tell you, that's it. That's the worst crime against the humanity. Mahadeva, I am so grateful. I belong to Upanishadic tradition where the complete purity of religious and spiritual principles are maintained. Be blessed. Feel blessed that we are all following a tradition which has kept the highest purity, which has kept itself so pure without any material or psychological vested interests into our spiritual principles. No Upanishadic Rishi was a servant of somebody or boss of somebody. Please understand. No Upanishadic Rishi is a servant of somebody or boss of somebody. And they did not have a vested interest or ideology to maintain, needed to be maintained, or an organization which need to be kept alive forever. No! I am so proud and happy we do not have an organization-based religious structure. That kept us pure without any psychological, materialistic, vested interests of fear and greed. The purity of any product will be reduced if the influence of individual gets into it. Whether it is pharmaceutical medicines, whether it is prescribed drugs, or history written by human beings, the more influence of the individual, less it is truthful and useful to humanity. As I said, all scientific books are biographies. All history books are biographies. All fiction books are biographies. All the books first should be classified as biography. Then under the biography, there can be sub-classifications, subdivisions, history, geography, science, whatever you want, you can. As and now, the way the humanity is so person-based, individualistic, power-centric, I don't know how to tell the humanity there is a book exists without author. That is why I am taking time. How can I introduce the book which does not have author? Apaurushya means not created by any person, not written by any person. Upanishads, by the very introduction, the first line, they are mystical. Please understand. When you introduce yourself to anybody, just by your name, parents, and the background, means the place from where you are, your 95% of the introduction is over. Only the remaining 5% is the person is going to decide based on your actions. Same way, the Upanishads, just by this one word, apaurushya, means authorless. I've introduced Upanishads to all of you. Why authorless? Because it is not touched by any vested interests. The vested interests has a different level. The material level, money, all that. Second, the psychological level, trying to influence people as you want so that you will be the leader. Then next, the collective psychological level, trying to keep certain ideology up and alive for generation and trying to influence the humanity through some ideology and keeping the humanity under the control, keeping under the control and bound through certain ideology. Upanishads are free from all these levels of corruptions. Neither bottom level, nor middle level, or high level. Corruption-free book in the whole universe is Upanishads. Corruption-free knowledge. Corruption-free book. Corruption-free knowledge source is Upanishads. No individual is involved. No individual is glorified. No individual's vested interests exist. Authorless. Apaurushya. Aprameya. Achintya. Anirvachaniya. Apaurushya. No author. The names of the people who penned down did not get recorded because it is not their thoughts. There is no influence of them on the thoughts revealed in the book. There is no influence of Upanishadic rishis on the great truths revealed in the book. That is why it is apaurushya. Apaurushya. If at all in India media industry is non-profit, I tell you, not only we will be the top of the world, we will be already having the Vedic civilization, Upanishadic civilization, the enlightened civilization, Satyaloka. The information broadcast industry, information feeding industry should be out of any for-profit vested interests, especially ideological fears and ideological greeds. It should be out of ideological fear, greed industry. If somebody is greedy and he handles only money and gold, he will not harm the society. Good, let him live with his private madness in his separate world. Let him add as many zeros as he wants in his bank balance in the electronic screen of the computer. Electronic screen of the computer. Let him go on declaring. Today the gold rate is each gram $1 billion. No problem. Because that is not directly going to affect the humanity. None of us are going to die if we don't wear gold jewelry. So all the things which does not affect the humanity directly, let it be with the for-profit people. The legally accepted madness of greed. Great, no problem. But let the purity of the history, information broadcasting, and religion, spiritual ideas should not be allowed to be contaminated by the vested interests who have a certain fear or greed towards certain principles or ideas. The first verse of the Brahma Sutras starts with Atato Brahma Jignasat. Now let us inquire into the reality. Means no vested interests, no presumptions, no theories, not even a presumption in God we trust. No! After the study of the Brahma Sutra, disciple can choose to be an atheist or theist. Such vast possibility, I tell you. Knowledge should be from the source of possibility. Knowledge should be from the source of freedom. The more and more I remember the purity of the inner space of the Upanishadic rishis, the more and more I dedicate my life to them. I rededicate my life to them again and again. Whenever I remember them, I fall in love with them. Whenever I remember them, I just surrender myself to them. Whenever I remember them, again and again, I just rededicate myself to them. What an inner space of no vested interest, even towards some ideologies, some ideas. That is why they were so alive even to update themselves. They are alive to reinvent themselves. I have to go on and on and on. On Upanishadic rishis. Apaurushya. 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 No spiritual tradition had the courage to establish themselves on Apaurushya. No author, no founder. No coordinator, no convener. I'm so happy to be born in a country where food industry is not in the hands of the for-profit bosses. It is not exploited by the vested interests of fear and greed. I am so happy I am born in a religion where the spiritual truths and religious truths are not influenced by any vested interests or fear and greeds of those who penned it down. I tell you, this is not just the good news, best news. Spread it all over the world. We are from the religion which has no founder. We are from the religion which has no author. We are from the tradition which is completely freedom based. What a purity of an ideology. What level of purity is maintained when the truths are presented? What a brilliance. Understand, Upanishads are not from tribal minds. And first of all, being a tribal is not wrong. In the modern day, that being a tribe, the word is used as if they are uncivilized, which is wrong. Please understand, the Upanishads are from the ultimate civilized and most sophisticated brains. I tell you, if at all our civilization reaches the maturity in future, anywhere down the line, in few thousand years, the religion and history, information broadcast, all the three will become purely non-profit and uninfluenced by the individual's fear and greed and ideologies. The system of a religious organization should be banned to keep the purity of the ideas taught. When the organizational priorities come into consideration and existence, the truths are compromised. I promise to all of you, in the presence of Mahadeva, I'll reveal the purity of the Upanishads with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching, without any ideological dilution or vested interest of any form of fear or any form of greed. I'll reveal it to all of you. I should say, the better word is, it will be revealed to everyone in its original pure form. O Mahadeva, I take the responsibility to retain the purity in all the ways I can, and I surrender and request you to retain the purity in its best form, as you are the ultimate pure source of the pure truths of the Upanishads. This is the only way we can surrender our gratitude, love, respects to those great souls, the rishis of Upanishads. Retaining the purity of those teachings without the interference of our fear and greed is the only way we can offer our gratitude to those great beings and their purity and their sacrifice and their dedication. O the rishis of Upanishads, I invoke all of you. Let all your presence be here. I request all of you. I pray to all of you. Let all your presence be here and the pure truth be revealed through this Upanishadic series and make everyone live Advaita. I tell you, rishis retained the purity of the truth because that is the best way to exist. Best way to exist. Best way to breathe. Best way to eat. Best way to clothe. Best way to entertain yourself. Best way to enjoy the pleasures and joys of life. The best way to think. Best way to feel. Best way to exist is to be in the source of pure truth. I am really excited. Really excited with this Upanishadic series. Because the way the truths are getting revealed, I am sure you are all really waiting for blissful surprises and a spiritual feast. I bless you all. Let you all radiate with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching and causing, living Advaita and eternal bliss, Nithyananda. Thank you. Be blissful.
Nithyananda Dhyanapitham, Nithyananda Nagar, off Mysore Road, Bidadi, Bengaluru. Phone 08027279999. www.nithyananda.org. www.youtube.com/Life Bliss Foundation.